Welcome to another episode of 17 County Podcast, where we spotlight the people, projects, and progress powering growth across our region. From business expansion to community revitalization, we bring you behind the scenes of what's shaping our future. We're proud to recognize the organizations that make this podcast possible. A special thank you to the dedicated stakeholders investing in local impact: Central Valley Ag, Clutie Incorporated, Overland Ready Mix, Collins Aerospace, Meade Lumber Company, and Perennial Public Power District. We're also grateful for the continued support of our financial stakeholders, Henderson State Bank, Midwest Bank, and York State Bank, who help drive business sustainability across the county. Empowering innovation and reliability behind the scenes, we recognize K-Junction, OPPD, and Nebraska Public Power District. Your support fuels the stories we share and the future we're building together. Now, let's get into today's episode.
I sit down with Heather, and this is actually her third time on the podcast, which I think says a lot. Every time we talk, it's real, it's honest, and there's always something you can take with you. This time, we really get into leadership, growth, and what it actually looks like to show up, not just in your career, but for your community and the people around you. And I love this conversation because it's not about being perfect or having everything figured out. It's about being willing to learn, to grow, and to step into those opportunities even if you're not 100% ready. Honestly, this one felt very real to me. It's that kind of conversation that reminds you that leadership is something you build over time and that your impact is bigger than you think.
I know that you mentioned that this is the third time that you're going to be in the podcast. Mm-hmm. The first one was with Derek, then Emily, and then me. And the nice thing is to see transition of Renew Horizon. What made different will you say when you just started Renew Horizon from today? I know that a lot of projects you're talking, a lot of things have changed, but I can just see you and you're just literally shining. So I just want to know when you started, what were your main focus? And then now it looks like you're trying to educate and teach businesses and people. So
yeah, when we started, the whole driving force behind it, and actually it kind of goes along with one of the questions you had in here. The whole driving force behind it was I had previously worked. There were 3 of us that were a part of when Renewed Horizon first started, and we had worked together, and we had some families that, as we kind of went our own ways and were doing different things, I actually had families who would reach out to me and they were like, gosh, we miss you guys. You need to open your own. You need to have your own. And I've always been I want to start my own business, you know? And my husband's like, well, what do you like? I was like, well, let's start a bakery. And he's like, no. Or I said, let's start an ice cream shop. No. Yeah. But the fact that we lived doing this, I worked in this, we were a foster home. I had families reaching out saying you guys, we miss you guys. You need to start your own. Mm-hmm. I really sat down and I was like, I feel like of all the things that we could do, this is it.
And there is a need.
Yeah.
There was a need there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we were so well versed in it. And so the 3 of us had a lot of, we would meet up and have, dinner somewhere and talk about, okay, we know how this program works. I know the contract side. I know the reg side with the state. And so when we started, the primary focus was on that foster care piece.
Okay.
That was it. We wanted to work with our families again. We'd had a lot of time and opportunity to learn the things that did work, that didn't work. And we knew, deep down, we knew it's what we do. And we jived so well together, and we understood each of our roles, and each of us had specific talent pockets, right? I had my individual who licensing and the behind the scenes work, that was their niche. And then I had my other one who was the go into the homes, work with the families directly one-on-one. And she was phenomenal at doing that. And then I was just here to kind of bring it all together and
organize
it and figure out how to best position ourselves and our services and programs. So when we started foster care, that was our primary. And we opened right when COVID hit. And so services looked really different. we later that same year, shortly after we started, and we had 5 families that as soon as they knew, as soon as they knew that we had our license, that we were able to start supporting homes, they transferred over to us, and they were so excited. And it was just an awesome, amazing feeling to have that. Later that year, I said, okay, we've got the foster care side. We're going, it's rocking. And then I said, I have experience with like the in-home services side, which is working more directly with the bio families. And so I pursued going after that, and slowly that program got built. And so for quite a while, it was those 2 programs. That was our focus. That was where we hovered, and it worked. Things change, services look different. For a while, we didn't provide the in-home support services for a few years.
Why is that? If you can share.
Yeah, it's a harder service just because there's so many moving pieces. We're working with families who it's not an easy time for them. They're not in an easy situation. They may be in a situation where we're working on being able for them to have their kids come home. We might be working with them on, hey, we want to work with you. We want your kids to stay in your home. We don't want them to be, removed from your home for any reason. And so you have families who they're so eager and thankful, and they're ready to do the services. They're ready to be engaged. And then you have families who they aren't in that same situation. And so it was just really hard to do that service and program for a little bit. We actually just recently brought that one back. Within the last year, we brought that one back. And so over time, the primary has always hovered and been that foster care and adoption piece. We had the in-home services in there. And so we have that back. And now we've expanded even more. So now we have brought on a piece, and it's actually a service that we've had the contract for it for a while to be able to do. Just haven't been able to really build and implement it the way I wanted to. Now I had the opportunity to do it, and I got a person plugged in to be able to take it, build it. Here's what we're working with. And so they're doing a great job at navigating, getting that in front of the people it needs to be, and working with those youth. So we've added that component. We've actually started doing a lot more working with probation now, and families and youth who are working through probation. And I'm like, okay, you know what? We're just going to keep adding some things and expand what we're capable of doing. We've kept it very close for so long, and it's time to now take that and make it bigger and make it come full circle. So then that's where that doing the training and the piece with the businesses, I'm like, you've hit every possible demographic in a community you can, from your children and your families all the way up to your employers. And it's full circle. And it's so neat to see it all finally kind of big picture. When we started, so we're year 6.
So you said that you were 3 people. Now how many people do you have now?
Well, technically we started with 4.
4, okay. Yeah.
So my husband and I, and then my other 2 that came on with us in the beginning. So now we have 15. Pretty sure that's right.
Yeah, that is a lot of team members. That is awesome. You had a passion. And it's very inspiring for me, because my husband is the same thing. Like, if you want to open your own business, where are you going to open? Like an ice cream shop? No. Photography, something? No. So I love that you saw the need, and sometimes it's like very scary to do the jump. It's very inspiring for me just to know to do that jump. You started with 4 people, now you have 15. Yes, 15. And it started with 2 main focus, and then now you have way more programs than you started. So that is awesome. Very happy for you.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's challenging, and it's sometimes very overwhelming or intimidating, but at the end of the day, it's an amazing feeling to see it all.
Because when I met you back in York Leadership, you used to work in school, or...
I did.
Yes.
I worked, I was the Learning Center coordinator for SEC here in town. And that's actually, I was there when working on getting
everything ready.
Renewed go.
Yes. So before we get into work, I always like to start with the person behind everything. And if you can just tell our listeners, who is Heather? It can be in the professional part or in personal part, but who is Heather?
So I am a mom to 2 boys.
Yes.
They are my world. They're amazing. They give me every motivation I could possibly need to do all
Love
the things that
Yep.
I do. And so, a mom to my 2 boys. They're 5 and 8, so we're really fun ages right now. I'm getting ready to go turn in kindergarten registration for my youngest one, so that one kind of sunk in a little bit. But and then a wife to my wonderful husband, who is also one of my he's a big part to why Renewed Horizon is up and going. We've been a part of this and built it, and it's something that we're both just so very passionate about.
Yes.
Having done it, being foster parents previously and actually currently again. And outside of that, not a whole lot.
Is there something that people might not know about you, might surprise them?
I love to be busy all the time,
Okay.
which is super funny to me because I'm always busy at work. And I always say, I'm just going to go home and relax.
And then kids
that's not how it works.
and
Yep.
sports and
I start playing with the kids. I love to play with their toys with them. Being outside with them, going for walks with them. That's probably one of my favorite things when it's nice is my 2 boys and I will just go for a walk around the block, and it fills everything. Like it's just one of the most calming but fun things.
Yeah, and
that
that's
we do.
fulfill,
Yep,
as
yep.
a mom. Yep, I love that.
And I love to be engaged with them. My oldest is in Cub Scouts, so I'm very involved in Cub Scouts as a den leader for him and his grade, which is fun. I have a lot of fun doing just the different activities with them and the other families and the other kids there. So I like to be as engaged with my kids as I can be while still having, some of those things that I do for me. I love
Yes.
to read. I read
I got another
psychological
reader
thrillers.
today. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love thrillers. Things that make you think,
Yeah.
right? But, I love to be with family, friends, and do what I love to do as much as I can.
I love that. And thank you for sharing, because right now I want to get into a little bit of like Renew Horizons. So for people that are listening, for the first time, can you tell me what is Renew Horizon for you?
Yeah. So in the simplest, Renewed Horizon it's a foster care, adoption, and family services agency, okay, which can mean a whole lot of things.
Yes. Yep.
To me, it's another family of mine that I get to go work with every day that's helping to support and provide for other families. Everybody that I work with or that works, at Renewed Horizon, they have a passion for wanting to make things better for these kids and for these families. And so it's a great thing to be able to connect over and with. But Renewed Horizon, I mean, it's my baby.
Yes,
It is.
yes. You're very passionate. I know that. I love that.
It's, we built it from the ground up. We had a lot of conversations, made sure we brought the right people to the table. It was something that it was such a natural fit that once we made the decision to do it, it all just kind of flowed easily. There wasn't a lot of moments where we felt like, well, we made a bad choice in wanting to do this. And so it's been one of those things that's filled my cup personally, professionally. I love that. It's something that hopefully as the years go, I'm able to keep it kind of going in my family with my kids and them. So it is a family-centered business providing supports and all the things to children and families
In York, Nebraska.
Yep.
Yes, that's
right
awesome.
in the heart of York.
I know that, there's a lot of passion every time that you talk about Renew Horizon. But what part of your work feels like the most meaningful to you personally?
There's a couple. There's kind of two pieces to it. You know, one of the things that fills it is when I'm able to work one-on-one with maybe a client. There are times where I will step out of my CEO hat and I will go and I will work directly with a family, whether in family support or, you know, doing a visitation or something. I used to do a lot of training with foster families for part of that initial training and whatnot. And I think when I can see and am told the impact that I have had on an individual. We were just talking about this the other day. I had a client not too long ago that I worked with, and they have been just beyond thankful for the work that I did with them. Because for them, at that time, I was the only person that was consistently pushing for them to do better. I wanted them to get to a point where we're working on, you know, different goals or things. We've got to get there, but I need you to be able to do this in order to get there. And so it was held them accountable, and they were so appreciative of it.
And grateful.
Yes. And they still hold on to that now, even though I have not worked with them for a long time. I've worked with families that have been the same way. And so when I see that impact, when I'm in the weeds working with them and doing that groundwork, which I think is a piece that makes Renew Horizon even just more special to me, is a lot of times the roles that we sit in by title, and we start doing things that maybe that aren't in that title, that's made it even more important and meaningful for me. And so that's one of the things, is when I can see and literally hear and know the impact.
Yeah, that's powerful.
The other piece is when I'm able to work with my individual staff. I've had the opportunity over the years to have some of those really meaningful conversations with staff to help them recognize their own talent and their own abilities. I love to challenge. You know, I've had individuals who are like, I can't do this. I don't know why I'm doing this. And we talk through it and they recognize, oh, I actually can do this. And you aren't just putting me here to be nice to me, right?
Yeah. So people just need a little push, and that person, you know, there.
Yeah. And I love when they're able to grow, whether it's personally or professionally, and walking that journey alongside them. I love to do that. And when they have those aha moments and they're like, oh, this all makes sense now, and it kind of clicks for them, I love to see when that happens. So those are probably the two most fulfilling.
When I went to the office downtown before this podcast, and I noticed everyone had their own office decorated and everyone was feeling very, very happy. I feel like it was a lot of good culture there that you have created with your employees and your team members. So, and I bet that's something very hard to do for a lot of employers. So every person that I was talking, all your staff members, they were just very, very happy. That's awesome.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time. That's actually a training that we did, is we built our culture. We spent a really good chunk of a day at the beginning of the year and said, you know, what do we want our culture to be? What do you want to walk into every day when you come here? And the staff at the time and myself, we built it.
Yep.
And because we built it, it's so much easier to be comfortable in it and to maintain it and do it versus just, here's the culture, here's what you do.
Yep.
And so that made a huge difference in why the environment
and then having those conversations also, I love that you said that you do that in a long time, you know, you spend a long time doing that, because their conversations are hard to have with your employees too. So yeah, you learn from them and then you create a good work culture. So that's awesome. So without sharing any confidential, is there a moment or a story that has stayed with you?
It's hard because there's so many. When you work with the families as much as you do, and sometimes for as long as you do, I mean, they just kind of become a part of your everyday. And it's hard to say if there's one that sticks out more than the other. I mean, I think a lot of it is probably the families that we've worked with for many years, when they have multiple adoptions over time.
Yeah.
You know, when we get to see, like, I was a part of when they adopted this youth, and then gosh, like we get to see you doing it again, you know, here. We did have a family that let's see here, from when we first started working with them, I believe we have been through, it's either 2 or 3 adoptions with them. And now we've seen it carry on with like their kids, and they have adopted now. And that probably is one that stuck the most, is just seeing how they have raised their kids, and their kids, they were a part of it for years within the family, and then they carried on and they've done it now. And I think just seeing that kind of being passed is a really neat and a really cool thing to see. Outside of that, I mean, it's...
Well, I love that. So, for example, if me and Jake, we want to be like foster parents, you will help us find the way to do that, right? That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, we do it all. So everything that we do is internal. So from the initial, so I have an individual who, she does all of the initial sit down, talk with the family, get to know them, you know, what do you know about foster care? What questions do you have? You know, what brings you to, you know, pursuing it, just to get to know a little bit more about the family. From there, just kind of depending on how the conversations go. And
is that a long process for, you know, for a family or parents that want to get into?
For a consult?
No, for just
in general?
General, yeah.
From that consult, if they choose to pursue and keep going, then they'll go through training. There's a licensing process. So everything goes from training to licensing to then receiving placements. So typically, there was a change recently in the training service, or the training program that we can do with families, that actually made it so the training piece goes quicker. So it used to be a 10-week process for training. Now, depending on kind of how schedules work, it can get done within 2 to 3 weeks, which is great. So usually from that initial consult talk with our recruiter, going through training, licensure is all wrapped up, and you've been issued that license, we typically hover at about 5 months. A lot of it just depends on how quickly the families turn in the paperwork that's needed for a lot of the licensing piece. But she walks you through everything. Like, she walks you through timelines, processes, what to expect, who's going to be doing what. And then once licensed, it's a matter of when placements come. There's a lot of misconceptions out there that surrounds foster care, and the hard part is, a lot of it is, it's very negative. The things that a lot of people hear, because they're just like anything. There's those really great, like, amazing stories, and then there's those situations where it's not so great, and it's not, you know, happy, and a lot of times that's where the focus is, and so we don't always hear all of this great positive piece to it, and that's something that I've talked about with staff and just people in general in conversations. Like, it's hard to combat that. And so that's why it's so hard to answer the question of like, what's stuck with you, because there's so many positive things. And the thing with that is, when families finally come to the decision that they want to pursue fostering, or, you know, they want to have a conversation, it's typically because they know somebody who has done it, and they've had opportunities to have conversations with it. A lot of it can be just things that are going on within their own family life. And like I will share, when my husband and I pursued fostering, we were struggling to be able to have our own kids. And so because we wanted to have kids, this was a natural route because it's what fit, you know, and it made a lot of sense to still be able to provide a home for kids. And so we do have families that come to us from that side. But a lot of it is the awareness is there, but it's having those conversations. I think that's probably like the one thing I say all the time is until you have those conversations, it's hard to know. Until you ask the questions, until you kind of dig a little bit more. And so I always tell people, like, you ever have questions about foster care or whatever, you please call us, any of us. You can talk to a specialist, you can talk to a recruiter, you can talk to myself. My husband, he does not necessarily, he's not a chatter, but he will absolutely talk to you. And then he'll say, hey, go talk to this person because they can give you way more than I can. Because when you find those people who are plugged into it and are very passionate about it, they'll answer and they'll
and it's amazing to have these type of programs and services here just in town, because it's not only impactful for the kid and the families, but also like a community in whole. So yeah, we're very grateful to have you in the community.
At Cornerstone Bank, we are committed to providing you the best in banking products and service. With 46 locations throughout Nebraska, we are dedicated to serve you. Cornerstone Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
So we spend a lot of time talking about workforce development and talent attraction. But behind every employee, it's a family. Behind every student is a support system. How those services like Renew Horizon quietly strengthen our workforce and overall quality of life.
I think at this point, it's trying to bring them all together. Is how can we have a support or an organization that helps to bring it all to one and create kind of like that whole wraparound type concept. So for us, it's in York County, we are supporting the homes who are willing to open their doors and take these kids in that need that supportive home, that consistency, that stability, and making sure that they're supported. And then on the other side, working with those kids, whether it's through like our in-home services or our Life Launch, which is the transitional or the independent living skill piece, and supporting them. And then how do we support getting them into the community? And that's where the workforce piece comes in. And so it's a well-rounded, we're here to support every aspect of the community as much as we can.
If you could sit down with every local business leader for 5 minutes, what would you want them to understand?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think the thing that I would want them to take away the most is knowing that, yes, we are categorized in this field, but we have the ability and the capacity to expand that. And we're not here just to support them, but we're also here to support the businesses. Because they are the ones that are working with these kids and these families. And if we can support them, we can help support the businesses too. I want them to take away like, hey, something about what she said resonated. I never thought about it this way. Oh, that makes sense maybe why I have seen this with this employee and I had no idea. And so opening those lines of communication with them and take away from that, I want to have another conversation. I want to know a little bit more. How can they support us, but how can we support them in what they're doing? So how do we work in partnership? Big on partnership. How do we land there?
Yes. And big in supporting also like the events that you do. You guys are very active on social media. So you're always having like a lot of events and things going on. Is there anything right now that your team currently is doing?
So we just kicked out a couple things. And one of these we've had out for a few weeks now. We finalized the date for that. We just kicked out, I know the registration forms came out, I think last week. I do believe if they haven't been put out yet, they will be coming out soon. The sponsorship forms that if you want to, we encourage businesses, individuals. We've got a couple of different new things going on with the golf tournament this year.
Okay.
I'm super excited about it. Noah, he's done a great job at looking at how can we really kind of amplify what we've done the last couple of years and just keep it going. And I think it's going to be great. I love the time of year we're going to do it. I think that's going to be wonderful. So that all of that is out. And we, if there's questions, obviously, please reach out. Absolutely to any of us. We'll get you plugged in with, the right people who you need to talk to. But yeah.
So right now we talk about happy things, things going on, events and projects that you guys are working. Can you share with us what are challenges can come with those projects or just in general with the programs that you're working with?
Yeah. There's a couple of larger challenges there. As I mentioned earlier, there's been some changes just amongst at the state level with what some of the services look like. So we are now supporting, as far as the foster care side, a much smaller demographic.
Okay.
So it used to be providers like ourselves, we supported what we call traditionally licensed homes, which would be if you and your family decided, hey, we want to be a foster home, you would be a traditionally licensed foster home.
Okay.
And then we supported relative kinship homes. And those were homes that youth were placed in there. It could be they were placed because that it's their aunt, their uncle, or it could be a grandparent, or it could be somebody that the family had a relationship with prior. They're a positive place for them to be, like a previous teacher or a friend, someone that there's a kinship relation there. So now the shift that has happened is providers are working now and supporting just the traditionally licensed homes.
Okay.
And so the challenge that creates for us is that really it decreases the number of homes and kids that we get to work with. Which just changes, which is the not fun part of conversations. It changes caseloads and it changes what it looks like for our staff. And so the biggest challenge now is how do we find and work with those homes that maybe have had an interest, have thought about it. How do we find more of those homes and bring them to the table? And so it's a challenge, but it's also kind of really neat in the sense that now the focus can shift a little bit where we can do more creative things because we have that time to really get in front of those homes and really talk with them and spend more time building different relationships with different avenues to get those homes, aware of who we are, what we do, ask those questions, have those conversations. So that's probably right now the biggest challenge that we face is just the change in really how many families and kids we're working with.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. But as far as program wise, it's getting some of these other programs going and keeping them growing.
So for someone that is listening right now, I didn't know this was happening in the community and I want to help, how that person can help today?
I would say call and talk with us.
Okay.
Tell us, what's your interest? What did you hear? What kind of resonated with you? Because pending what, those conversations lead to, that tells us gosh, we have this really cool opportunity that I think you would be amazing.
Okay.
Sometimes we've talked about different things with volunteers. One of the things that I say is be watching, every Christmas we do our toy drive.
Okay.
It's not a toy drive. It's you can adopt a youth and provide a Christmas gift for them. And this community has been amazing. Every year we have done that. I don't think we have ever had a kid in a home that has not been adopted and taken care of for Christmas. And it is amazing to watch what comes in our doors because I'm like, oh my gosh, like, can I have that?
Yes, that is awesome.
But we do that. We've talked about.
I also feel like your team members are very active in the community as well.
We've had some families. We've talked about doing a kind of like adopt a family for a year.
Okay.
So we've had some families who have said, like, hey, I loved buying these Christmas things. Like, can we, adopt a kid to do like stuff for their birthday through the year?
Okay, I love that.
I'm like, you know what? It'd be really cool to do something bigger. Like, let's adopt a family. And if your home wants to adopt a family, anytime a youth would go in, then you would be able to help kind of just be another behind the scenes support for them.
Yes.
So that's some things that we're talking about. So I would say always watch our social medias.
Okay.
Call and talk to us. Let me know what you're interested in. If you're like, I would really like to be able to do this, maybe it's something that we do and we would love to add on. But until this conversation is like, it's hard to say.
And I love that you said that you want them to call you first and to listen to their interests first. It's not that this is the plan that we have, the program that's working that. I love the fact that you're actually listening to the volunteer first. And then let's see what talents you have, what your interests, and then let's place you in one of these programs that we have to help. That is awesome. So is there anything that you would like to talk that I didn't mention?
I want people to know that we're here and we can do more than just these services. Like, we want to be able to provide more to the community. We want to be able to give. We've had a lot of community people give to us. We want to be able to give back. And how can we make that look? Noah and I constantly, like the other day, we were talking about just a couple of things, and we were talking about some stuff in the nursing home. And we were going to do this little thing, and then he's like, I'm going to actually do this instead. I said, it'd be kind of cool if we could partner with like my kids' Cub Scouts, and we take the kids up to the nursing home and they hide Easter eggs for the residents to find. Like, just randomly. Yep. These are things that we will just, we'll say it and we'll be like, oh, that's a really good idea. And so I would love to hear, from the community, what types of services would you like to see? Like, is there something that you wish you could see for kids that is not here? We're so kid-centered. That's one of the things that I think we like are so big on. It's things that are tied specifically for kids. We will always try to be a part of it, or we're trying to bring something new for kids to be able to do and participate in. And so those are the things, like, let us know. And that's part of, like, call us and talk to us. Like, because there may be something that you say to me in a conversation. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've had that same thought. Like, let's do this. Yep. So I want listeners in the community to know, like, we are here and we are so much more than just what you see on our signage. There's a lot of depth to what we do and who we are.
This really allows me to meet people like you. And I didn't realize myself, like, there's so many things going on in the community.
Noah and I spend a lot of time talking about just different ways to, different events, different things. We want to be able to get to a point where we can do events just to do them, not necessarily have to tie them as like a fundraiser type deal. Yep. And so that's where I'm like, that's why I said, let's get the Cub Scouts. Like, I can totally tie that together, because we are kid-based. And a part of it is like, how do we help these kids also recognize like generations of people? So there's always things. People will say something, or I'll hear something in passing when I'm walking around or somewhere, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I have thought about that. Yes. I really want to do that. And so when I hear those, it reminds me, like, Heather, you're not completely crazy for having these ideas, because then that means that somebody else in the community has also thought about it. So.
And then I went to your website, which I love. It's very, user-friendly. So everything, it's there. If people want to reach out to you or want to see your events or your mission or the people that works with you, it's there. It's a beautiful website. Yeah. I am very happy and grateful that you're here today. So thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely.
Yes. That's a wrap on another episode of the 17 County Podcast. As always, thank you for joining us to explore the business leaders, community champions, and transformational efforts shaping our regional economy. A final word of appreciation to our stakeholders: Central Valley Ag, Clutie Inc., Overland Ready Mix, Collins Aerospace, Meade Lumber Company, Perennial Public Power District, Henderson State Bank, Midwest Bank, York State Bank, K-Junction OPPD, and Nebraska Public Power District. Your investment doesn't just support this podcast, it strengthens York County's momentum in innovation, growth, and long-term resilience. Until next time, stay engaged, stay informed, and continue supporting the businesses and partners that make our communities thrive.